Yo, what is going on, you guys? It's your boy King Sanders here, and we are back with another day of sports betting. This is going to be for Friday, July 8th slate of MLB action. I'm super excited to dive into it. We do have a pretty full slate. Most of it is in the night, though, so luckily for you guys, since my videos, they take forever to upload, then, you guys won't have to worry about that because they will be, or the games won't be till later, so you'll still have time to get in these bets. But without any further ado, we'll go ahead and dive into it. We ended up profiting a little bit yesterday, and we'll talk about it in just a minute. But before we do, I did just want to go ahead and say that we are still currently on the road to 7,000 subscribers. So if you guys are new, make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Next, I did just want to go ahead and give a quick shout out here to all of our members here on the channel. Thank you guys so much for everything that you guys do, and thank you guys so much for giving such a small channel such a big chance, as I always say. Excuse me, it truly does mean so much to me. More than you guys will ever know. So, without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into it. We'll do a quick recap from yesterday. We ended up technically going 1-1, but we profited, and we'll get to that in just one second. But first, we did have the Yankees run line versus Boston at -105. The Yankees, they only ended up winning by 1. If I would have just taken the money line, it would have been fine, but it was just a little bit juiced. I was like, I don't know if I really love that. They ended up winning by just 1. The Yankees could not get it done in the top of the ninth. They actually did have a runner on base at one point, but they could not come through with it. And then Boston, they did not end up scoring in the bottom of the ninth. So they ended up losing that one for us. But we did have that 2-unit play of the Rockies and the Diamondbacks over 5 runs in the first 5, and they ended up scoring 6. So it ended up working out for us. It ended up being a great play. I saw that the line did actually end up moving to, like, I think it was 6 at plus odds, or at over 5.5 at plus odds. So if you ended up taking that, now it ended up working out for us too. So we technically profited since I did have that as a 2-unit play. So we ended up going 1-1 on the day though. But we're going to go ahead and get into it today. I found 2 plays that I really do like. So let's go ahead and dive into it. Our first play of the day, we're going to take in the Angels and the Orioles no-run first inning at -115 odds. Now, I really like this bet for a couple different reasons. First things first, both these teams are not very good when it comes to runs scored per game. Baltimore, they are 23rd in runs per game, and the Angels, they are 25th when it comes to runs per game. So both these two teams are in the bottom 10 when it comes to runs per game, just on the offensive side of things. Definitely not great offenses going against each other here. Next, the Angels, they are 15th in runs allowed, so definitely nothing too crazy. And Baltimore, they are 18th in runs allowed. So once again, nothing too crazy, but they are kind of in that middle tier of runs allowed. So I'll definitely be taking my odds with that one. The Angels, they are technically 1st or 11th in first inning runs per game. So they do actually average a pretty decent amount of runs in the first inning. But if you take a look at it, a lot of those were towards the beginning of the year when they were actually, clicking on offense. As of right now, they're really not. So they have had 0 first inning runs in their last 3 games. So definitely nothing great there. And then they average 0.64 runs in the first inning at home and only 0.5 on the road. So they do actually average fewer runs in the first inning per game on the road, which is obviously where they're going to be taking on the Orioles today. Also, Baltimore, not really too worried about them, but we'll talk about it in just a minute. Baltimore, they are last in first inning runs per game with an average of 0.24 first inning runs per game. So definitely on that lower echelon. When it comes to the first inning, they definitely don't score a lot of runs, dead last, so I'll definitely be taking my odds with that. But if you take a look at it, Tyler Wells here for Baltimore has a 3.09 ERA. He's been really, really solid here for this team. He's been even better at home with a 2.2 ERA at home and a 1.93 ERA in his last 5 games. Tyler Wells has been an incredible pitcher here for Baltimore, and I definitely think he can get through those first 3 Angels for sure. So that's the first half of it. But we do have Reed Detmers on the mound for the Angels, and I will be honest, this is the one that makes me nervous. Reed Detmers hasn't necessarily been great. He has a 4.66 ERA with a 3.6 ERA through 5 versus Baltimore. So he hasn't been great necessarily versus Baltimore, and he hasn't been great over the course of the season. But I do think it weighs out because Baltimore is such a bad offensive team in the first inning that or just in general, I guess, they are 23rd in runs per game too, so they're in that lower 10. So I think that it does end up weighing out. Despite Reed Detmers not necessarily being the ace that, he needs to be, the Baltimore Orioles are not necessarily a good offensive team either. So I'm going to be taking my odds here. That's going to be our first play of the day. Angels and the Orioles, no run first inning at -115 odds. Now for our second play of the day, we're going to be taking the Guardians and the Royals over 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings at -120 odds. Now this bet is very, very similar to the Diamondbacks bet that I ended up having yesterday, the Rockies and the Diamondbacks bet. I like this for a couple different reasons, but mostly just because of the pitching matchup. Now, if you take a look at it, Cleveland is 18th in runs scored and Kansas City is 26th. So both these offenses aren't necessarily great, kind of like the Colorado Rockies and the Diamondbacks yesterday. Both of them were kind of in that middle to lower echelon of offensive teams, but Cleveland does actually average 0.24 more runs per game on the road, which is where they are going to be taking on the Royals today. Also, Cleveland is 20th in runs allowed, and Kansas City is 26th. So, not only are these offenses not necessarily the greatest, but the defenses aren't very good either. So, they should be giving up a lot of runs as long as we don't see anything too crazy where we have 2 Cy Young winners out there. But as of right now, the Cleveland Guardians are 20th in runs allowed. Kansas City is 26th. So both of them are in that bottom 10 when it comes to runs allowed. So they do give up a good amount of runs here. And Savali is going to be on the mound here for Cleveland with a 7.04 ERA, a 5.19 in his last 5, and a 9.9 ERA on the road. So he has not been good, not even a little bit for Cleveland. He has, like I said, 7.04 ERA in general, not very good. 5.19 in his last 5, trending in the right direction, but still, over a 5, not necessarily great, and a 9.9 on the road. Definitely not good. So, he does pitch a lot worse on the road. He hasn't really been great in general, and I guess technically he's been a little bit better in his last 5 games, but I still don't trust it, not even a little bit. On the flip side of things, Brady Singer is going to be on the mound here for Kansas City. He has been, I'm not going to say awful, but he has had a 4.3 ERA, a 4.58 ERA at home, and he has pitched in 1 game versus Cleveland so far this year. He ended up pitching 3 innings, and he had a 12 ERA. So he has not necessarily been great in those games either, or in his 1 game versus Cleveland. So let me just do a quick recap because I know that was a lot of numbers, a lot of stuff. Both these offenses aren't necessarily very good, but both these defenses are terrible. And then on top of that, the Cleveland pitcher has been really, really bad all year. And Brady Singer for the Royals hasn't necessarily been bad, but he has been bad against Cleveland. So that is going to be our second and final play of the day. Guardians and the Royals over 4.5 runs in the first 5 innings at -120 odds. So that is going to do it for today's video. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you guys do like, comment, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you guys know whenever I post. Like I said, we are on the road to 7,000 subscribers, and I would love to be able to hit that milestone, but I can't do that without your guys' help. So make sure that you guys are subbed. But that's going to do it for me. This is King Center signing out. Peace.